In this video, we're discussing fatigability of the postural muscles that support the spine and how the fatigability of these muscles are going to impact your postural design, and then how this poor posture over time is absolutely associated with low back pain. Hi, I'm Dr. Krista from the American Posture Institute. Thanks for joining us live. So I wanted to go over a specific research study that I was just evaluating, and it's called Fatigue Influences the Dynamic Stability of the Torso, and this was written by Granada and Godapati, and this was in 2008. Now, what this research study is showing, I'll read you a little bit of the research and then we'll talk about it. So, fatigue in the extensor muscles of the torso affects neuromuscular recruitment and control of the spine. Now, the goal of the study was to test whether fatigue influences stability of dynamic torso movements. So they did a controlled laboratory experiment, and the findings reported an indication that one mechanism by which fatigue contributes to low back disorders may be spinal instability. This information may contribute to the development of ergonomic countermeasures to help prevent low back disorders. So that's straightforward information, but I wanted to provide you a research study that validates what we think we already know. So for example, what it's saying is that as I fatigue more, then I have less stability I have less activation of the musculature that controls spinal stability, specifically the extensor muscles. Now, what we talk about in postural neurology that's relevant from a brain-based perspective to postural ergonomics is that when we want to restore proper posture to the body, we want to restore the flexor-extensor synergy. Flexor-extensor synergy, what does that mean? So with flexor-extensor synergy, that means that I can hold my body upright against gravity in a non-stressful position. When I cannot extend and when I have lack of inhibition of flexion, here's what I look like. I look like this, okay? So I have forward head posture, I have anterior rolling of my shoulders, leading to a postural hyperkyphosis and anterior chest flexion. Now, this means that I'm not engaging the extensor tone of my spine. So as I become fatigued at work, recognize that this does have an impact on the extensor musculature. So what can you do to then overcome this, and how does this then prevent low back pain? Well, it prevents low back pain because we are spinal stabilizing, which prevents us from having injuries, more stress to the back. So specifically, what you can do to restore the flexor-extensor synergy is you can take a posture break, okay? So for example, you just bring your arms out to the side, pull your head back, and as you go back, you're stretching here, you're stretching the flexors, but you're engaging the extensor tone. Now, in addition to that, so this you can do for 30 seconds every hour on the job site. Now, to prepare for work, to prevent postural decline in the workplace, you can do extensor activities. So some extensor activities are, for example, if you lie on the ground and do a Superman exercise. So you lie face down, and then with your arms forward or back here like this, you're going to raise, you're lying face down, and you're going to raise your upper body off the ground like this. As you get more advanced, you can raise your upper body plus your lower body off the ground. So your torso, so your abdomen will still be on the ground, but you're raising up into extension. So you're activating this extensor tone. Now, this is really good therapy that almost all patients need. I recommend it to so many of our clients at the American Posture Institute. Also recognize that from a neurologic perspective, so if we think brain-based here, there's a part in your brainstem called the PMRF, and the PMRF inhibits flexion. So to stimulate that, we do extensor exercises. Also, you have the vestibular system. The role of the vestibular system is to stimulate upright postural extension. It does that via the lateral vestibulospinal tract. So when we stimulate the vestibular system, we're also stimulating that tract that goes down to our thoracic spine to stimulate extensor tone. So having the patient or the client also doing vestibular exercises such as balance training is very good for stimulating extensor tone. So be active in inhibiting flexion and stimulating extension by doing extension exercises. Like I said, just like the Superman exercise is a really good one. Also doing posture breaks where I stretch here, engage extensors, so stretch flexors, engage extensors. I go anti-gravity. And then also doing balance training to stimulate that vestibular system. So one more time, let's bring this all together. The research study from 2008, the research study is called fatigue influences the dynamic stability of the torso. So as workers experience fatigue in the workplace, they have less activation of extensor tone of their spine, which then leads to poor postural design, because if I'm not engaging my extensors, I go into flexion with gravity, where I'm not properly resisting gravity, so I go here. And then what this leads to is low back pain, or back pain in general. So then you have all these workers, 80% of Americans throughout their lives say, hey doc, I have low back pain. So what we can do then is we can prevent this entire thing from happening, one, by preventing fatigue in the workplace with brain-based ergonomics, but two, by restoring flexor-extensor synergy, by stimulating the PMR-RAF to inhibit flexion and stimulating the vestibular system to stimulate upright extension. That flexor-extensor synergy will bring us into a good amount of tone where we have nice flex to open here in the chest, but having activation of the extensor tone to stabilize the spine, to prevent injuries, to prevent low back pain, and of course to prevent more fatigue, because as we experience pain, it's easier to get to that point of neural fatigue faster in the workplace. So you can utilize this information. You can utilize posture breaks every hour for 30 seconds to just offset the force of gravity and go anti-gravity by stimulating extensor tone. You can do extension exercises pre and post work. So for example, doing the Superman exercise. And in addition to that, you want to do balance training to stimulate that vestibular system. So from a brain-based approach, we were just able to connect the structural component, which is stimulating the extensor tone for upright postural design, but how that works from a brain-based component as well. And then of course, how that helps prevent fatigue in the workplace, because when we have good brain-based output, then we can prevent neural fatigue faster. So we can prevent neural fatigue, which then helps us maintain good flexor-extensor synergy over a long period of time, such as an 8-hour workday. All right, guys, make it a great day, and remember, it's ergonomic design to prevent postural decline.